Welcome to the Cincy Postcast. I'm Kevin Wallace, and before we get started with the very full episode today, I get to tell you about our friends over at Streetside Brewery. That's right. Streetside is back for the 2025 season, and we could not be happier. One of the best, if not the best, breweries in Cincinnati, and located over in the Columbia Tusculum neighborhood, over on the east side of Cincinnati. They are doing some fantastic stuff out there. They have a huge variety of beers, an awesome location. Love the brewery there. It is a great combination of a local watering hole, a nice little neighborhood bar, as well as a modern gastro brewery pub thing. It is awesome. It's a really, really good time. And one of my favorite things that they got going over there are the events. There's always events. They've got pint nights starting back up. There's one on Monday, February 25th from 6 to 9 p.m. You'll also find one on March 4th from 6 to 9 p.m. This is cool. This is where they have a limited edition glassware that you get with your beer choice, and you get a sticker, and it's just $10. Okay, there's good stuff going on at these places. They are also an official pub partner of FC Cincinnati, which means on Saturday, March 1st, you get to watch the Philadelphia Union match. That's right. So go check out Streetside Brewery for your away day match needs. And hey, when you're there watching FCC, mention the postcast and they will knock $1 off of your beer. That's a real thing. I promise. Mention the podcast, admit in public you listen to this thing, and they will knock $1 off of your beer. So again, a huge thank you to Streetside Brewery for sponsoring this episode, and a huge thank you to you, listener, for using that code. And on today's episode, what are we not talking about, folks? 2 wins in 1 week. Oh, it's a lovely Victory Monday episode that we get to enjoy together. The vibes could not be higher, and I know that because we check in with FC Cincinnati vibes guy and FC Cincinnati goalkeeper, Evan Louro. Man, lovely, amazing conversation with Evan in this one. It was so much fun to get to talk to him on this one. I mean, come on. There's a bunch of new players on this team, and they all look really good. What was preseason like there? What's it like in Honduras? Did they let them explore? Were they allowed outside of the hotel? Questions will be answered. Oh my gosh, so much news. Is Brenner coming back? Luca Orishano gets a new contract. Jeff Birding is promising top 20 players. So much to get to. Patreon questions. Oh, this is an incredibly full, incredibly exciting, very positive episode of the Postcast. Joining me to talk about all of that and so much more, I'm joined by the Chief. I'm joined by Grayson. Gentlemen, we made it. We are now recording the first episode of 2025 on the other side of matches. Chief, how does it feel to be back?
We're back. It's just, how does it feel to be back? It feels like we're back. It feels great to be back. The cold, the winter portion of the MLS schedule can't keep us down, can't keep us away. Walking into TQL Stadium on Saturday night, it hit different, and it's excitement in the air. You don't know what this team's going to look like. You got a preview of it in the CONCACAF Champions Cup match, but I don't know, man. I'm happy. This is fun. This team's fun. This year looks like it could have a lot going for it. And I was ready. I was looking forward to this. I haven't looked forward to a season opener for a sports team this much probably since Brady joined the Bucks. But other than that, it's been a really, really long time, just because this team right now, damn, it looks like there's a lot of talent on this team.
Right. It's insane given how the offseason was. Right. That about a week before, in all the absences that there were all throughout training camp and all the ups and downs and the, you know, as some have termed it, tabloid drama. You looked at the lineup on paper a week out of the season, and it's like, this is the best team in the league.
Yeah. Yeah. Like even looking at the lineup last night, it's like, damn, this team's good. What a great lineup. I'm stoked for this. And then, oh yeah, like Matt Miazga is going to come back at some point, and Luca Orishano is going to come back and join the team at some point. And it's just going to get better by the addition of one of the best young offensive players and a fringe best 11 candidate, and also the defender of the year in 2023, who was playing out of his mind last year before getting hurt.
I think his belt has not been taken.
No,
because he had a season-ending injury. So, I would say reigning defensive player of the year.
Yeah. I don't know if that's how years worked, but I'm for it.
Yeah, you got to knock the champ out. Everybody knows this. You can't win by disqualification.
Oh my God. Yeah, the reversal of vibes. I mean, if you check in with, heck, this podcast in mid-January or the average Discord user in mid-January, or even, as we said, like 2 weeks ago, you're staring down the barrel of a wasted season, a burnt first half of the season. Maybe this all comes good in the summer. And yeah, this team, through all of its various permutations of the rotation you might expect in a lineup, this is a team that, until further notice, you expect to win every game that they're in.
And I think it shouldn't be, first episode of the new year, like we're going to declare it that this is the season premiere, I guess.
We have a fiscal year, essentially. Yeah. Like we don't give a calendar year.
Yeah, right. Fiscal year. I think you got to start out legitimately giving some flowers to Chris Albright and the ownership group.
Yes.
And I know, it's not fun to praise really, really rich people, but, honestly, Albright cooked up probably one of the top transfer windows in the history of the league. I don't even think that's a hot take, to be honest with you. And the reason he was able to do that is because ownership committed to spending. We talked about it a little bit on, I think, the last episode we did, where all of the money going in being spent on this club, not a ton of money coming back. So it's not like they're balancing their books like Atlanta was. This was new roster spend this year with Denkey, with Evander, with Gilberto Flores, who featured prominently in last night's game. Additionally,
did you mention the Orishano option?
The Orishano.
So that's two, because I think in all the spending, people forget like that was done this window. So it's 16 for Denkey, 12 for Evander, 2 for Flores, I believe was what was reported.
Yeah,
and 2.8. Yeah, for Orishano,
roughly three for Orishano.
$33 million.
$33 million committed to new deals for Evander and Orishano. Mm-hmm. So that's more money that they're pledging and spending for this club right now.
And all they got back was the Barreal $300,000 loan fee
and $5 million for Lucho.
$5 million for Lucho, and then whatever they got from Sell-On for Brandon Vasquez.
Yeah, that's it.
Maybe so this $1 million.
It depends on whether that's a profit or a total deal.
Right. It was $1 million or 100,000. Yeah.
You look at clubs that are breaking transfer records for $3 million and $5 million, and this team is casually laying out $30 million in roster spend in this league. That's insane. And the reason they're willing to do it is because they're committed to winning and they believe what Chris Albright is doing, and he's earned the trust to keep taking big swings, even when some of them don't work out. And was it pretty the entire way? No, but like, who gives a shit?
Very much not. Yeah.
Who gives a shit at the end of the day?
And, we, maybe me, I'll own it, gave the team some grief and gave management some grief for talking about being in a window and, maybe not doing everything that they could have done to maximize the window or letting like a window year be squandered or whatever. But they've basically reset the window without going through the period where you lose.
Yeah.
Right. Because Evander's 4 years younger than Lucho.
Yep.
He's on a long-term deal. Denkey is new to the team. I mean, you hope young, 24, I think younger than Evander, I think.
Yeah.
Somebody who, if he stays, could be good for a 2-3 year window. I mean, if he stays, he'd be good for a while. I really don't expect it. I really don't expect him to stay. Like, I'd be surprised if he goes 3 years with the team just because of, what I expect him to be and do. You get Orishano signed to a long-term deal. You bring in some youth with Flores. You have Engel, who you have a purchase option on. Buka's still young. Obi, he's still in his 20s, right? He's like 28.
Yeah.
So there was talk in 23, the beginning of 23, that they were in, a window through like 26. Well, this is like the start of a new window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And usually when you go from window to window, you have that period where you're rebuilding, and Albright just skipped it.
Yeah. Yeah. We're
not doing that.
We were talking about this last night, that this team has completely turned over from the Supporters Shield winning team. And it happened quietly. Well, I guess it was noisily in one sense. It was noisily in one sense, but like the amount of noise distracted sort of from what was happening, where that team last night that played Red Bulls had what? 2 starters that were from the Supporters Shield winning team?
Roman, Obi.
That's it. I mean, Kubo was on that team, but he wasn't starting.
Yeah.
So there's some peripheral players that are still around, but in terms of starters, the projected 11 for this team is only going to have 3 players from the Supporters Shield winning team when Miazga comes back.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Yeah. So
wild.
8 new starters in 2 years, and the team looks better than the one that won the Supporters Shield. On paper, the talent level on paper. That's
early. I agree with the talent level.
Yeah.
I think the midfield is stronger.
Certainly deeper.
The forwards are stronger. It's like just Vasquez, stronger. Really, versus Denkey, Orishano, Evander. Wing backs.
Stronger. I think stronger.
Engel looks pretty
good, but but the Supporter Shield team had Arias, who when healthy was really freaking good. Center backs,
Mosquera.
So no Mosquera, but you have Miazga, and I think as a unit of your best 3, you're stronger across the 3.
Yeah.
Than you were in 23, right?
Yeah.
If you have Hadebe, Miazga, Miles all available.
Yeah.
And Flores to be seen, but
right.
The 3 that I mentioned I think are stronger than Murphy, Miazga, Mosquera.
But wait, I'm just talking about right now. Like, look, that team in 23 was fantastic. I mean, they were unbelievable.
One of the best teams in MLS history.
And yeah, like you can go player for player on this. And you can say, okay, where's better? But like, I don't think it's questionable that the top end, if you project everybody at their top end on this team, Denkey has all world potential. Like that's a level of striker.
Really freaking good.
That's a level of striker this team never had.
Most of this league has never had.
Right. It's just I wanted to stop before we got into analyzing this game and just say, the offseason was wild, and it was a roller coaster, tabloid or no tabloid, however you want to. It felt like at some point Andy Cohen was going to have to be called in here to sit everybody down for a confrontation. But at the end of the day, Chris Albright, if you're questioning him at this point, or you're thinking that there's problems in the front office, I don't know what to tell you. And I don't know that you're ever going to be happy, because this offseason was a masterclass. This team has been rebuilt to open a new championship window, like Grayson was saying. And beyond that, there's just an excitement with what these players this year look like they could be capable of. And you don't have to squint real hard when you're watching this team to see what could end up being just an absolute monster of a side with some of the talent. If they stay healthy, if they perform up to potential. But man, it felt exciting walking in to the stadium last night. And I don't know that it felt that way for the majority of last year.
Yeah. Like, this is a team that has totally retooled and has now, through 2 tests, passed the eye test, passed the vibes test, has, how long has it been? When you look at the Champions League game against Motagua, how long has it been since we've faced like a team we should beat and handily beat them? Like, for 2 years, that has been like a weird Achilles heel of this team. You think about that match against Toronto to secure the supporter shield. It was a slugfest. What was it? The 2022 season to beat Chicago to punch our ticket to the playoffs, and we couldn't get it done. And how many USL teams have taken us to extra time in Open Cup over the last few years and stuff like that? It was nice to finally play a team that is, on paper, by all accounts, beneath FC Cincinnati, and walk away having demolished them. And all of our key players and new signings look the part. Like, this, it feels really good.
the game that I actually, maybe this is not controversial, but I think it also merits explanation. The game that I find more heartening is that Red Bull game.
Yeah.
Even though it wasn't as maybe convincing on paper or by the eye test, but they showed, as Pat Noonan acknowledged, they showed grit, they showed toughness.
Yeah.
It was an ugly game, which plays really into the Red Bull's strength.
It's a Red Bull's game.
Come on now.
As this team coheres, it's good to see that they can go out and like win a fight.
Yeah, rock
right.
Fight. Yeah.
But as this team coheres, you expect them only to get better and better and better. And like, you saw parts of it against Red Bull. You saw probably more glimpses of it against Motagua, which was weaker competition, but there was nothing that happened in the Red Bull game where I thought, oh, this is going to be like, even when stuff like didn't quite go right, it wasn't anything where I was like, oh, this is going to be like a problem going forward. Right. It's like, Flores makes a beautiful pass and maybe like Yedlin's not quite like expecting it.
Right.
Like, it's stuff like that, where it's like, man, like, you give these guys a little bit more time together and that comes off. And it's like, yeah.
It's also worth reminding yourself too. This is a good Red Bull team. This is a team that was Eastern Conference champs last year. They didn't suffer any horrendous losses in the offseason.
Got better, if anything.
They made some good additions by the looks of things. It's a incredibly solid defensive team, always has been. Forsberg and Lewis Morgan are incredibly dangerous up top. Yet here we find ourselves.
Munich striker.
Yeah. Clean sheet, 1-0 victory. And everything. I agree with Grayson. Everything that when we talk about this game, everything that you saw out there, where you're like, that was annoying. It's mostly timing, fit, and finish, and it's stuff where you can see a pathway for that to get better. And of the new players that came in that we saw, for each one of the major new acquisitions this offseason, each one of them, I think, had at least one, if not multiple, wow moments where you could see they were legitimate upgrades to the position they were occupying. Other than in the case of Evander, where it's like, okay, you're replacing a league MVP and you acquitted yourself well playing the part. And that's, I don't know how much of a higher compliment I can pay for you in your first game playing here in, the same number 10 kit that the MVP wore. So yeah. I think that's beyond exciting that no one looked out of place.
I mean, not to cast aspersions on any former team legends here, but I'll echo Pat Noonan's sentiment here that it was nice to see guys not throwing their arms up in frustration when things didn't perfectly go off, that like this really felt like a more cohesive unit. And like Evander's only been with this team for like 2 weeks, like
if that.
He's still getting used to his teammates, his strike partner up there with Denkey. We don't know what he'll look like with what we assume will be Orishano taking Kubo's spot at the on the starting lineup when the first choice 11 is out there. There's going to be a slight adjustment period, and especially with a guy like him and a play style like Evander's and like Lucho's, that it was, very much feel based and improvisation in the moment. We saw that plenty last night, but having that familiarity with your teammates improves that. And man, sky's the limit. A month or two from now, it'll be very interesting to see how well these guys are playing together.
Kevin, why don't we do the lineups?
Yes.
And I want to talk about the new players specifically that we saw that were new debuts for the FC, because I think that it leads naturally into how this game progressed and how the game state worked, because each one of them kind of in their own way had a really major impact on this game, I thought.
Yeah, so I'm going to read the lineup. I'll say, for what it's worth, Fatmob, I believe, has this wrong. Feel free to correct the lineup, I will tell you here. And Apple TV had the lineup wrong from what I saw. So very weird decisions from our media partners here. Not that Fatmob's a media partner, but anyway, Roman Celentano in goal, of course. Left to right across the entirety of the defense. Lucas Angle was your left wing back. You had Flores as your left center back.
Yeah,
Rob.
What do you think? Not right.
That's not right. Flores was
Hidebe.
Yeah.
Oh,
Hidebe
no. So that's my mistake. So I will say this graphic has Hidebe as your right wing back. So excuse me. I'm trying to recreate this. So Angle is the left wing back, Hidebe as the left center back, Miles Robinson is the center back, Flores as your right center back, and DeAndre Edlin as your right wing back. Two midfielders, or defensive midfielders, if you will, Buka and Wobodo, and a front three, a very flexible front three of Yuya Kubo, Evander, and Kevin Denkey. Man,
great lineup. It's
hell
the
of
best
an assembly.
It's the best they can put out right now, given the availability issues with Luka, Matt, and Matt specifically. I'll tell you what, every newcomer that's there on that team played out last night. And the first one I think that needs to be talked about is Lucas Angle, because we have two matches of footage on him now where he immediately looks like the real deal. Immediately looks like he is playing at a different level than a lot of the competition he's playing against. He is effortless defending and tracking back. There were multiple times in this game where he was beaten by a step and recovered to win the ball. And there was no point in this match where he was remotely threatened or beaten. And that would be one thing if his responsibilities were solely defensive.
Yeah.
But he gets upfield. And when he gets upfield, he is dangerous. And what's really, really neat is that what this team has kind of been missing since 2023 when they won the Shield was that Barreal out on the wing, having that ability and having that vision or that desire to not take people on off the dribble, but to whip a dangerous ball into the penalty area, into the box, and look for a striker, look for someone in the middle to center it. Engel, through 2 matches already, multiple times where putting a dangerous ball into the box from a wide position while getting forward, it's something this team was just flat out missing last year, as Orishano wanted to cut inside on the dribble whenever he was out wide. It keeps the attack wider, and he looks dangerous going forward every single time he gets the ball, and it's just fun to watch.
Yeah, I thought Engel was. This is not going to sound like as big of a compliment as it is, but I thought he was as advertised. Like he's essentially like he was the back of his baseball card. You know, you saw all that he provides offensively while still providing so much defensively. The only thing that surprised and intrigued me was, late in the game, he does that dribble where he gets to the end line and almost creates another goal. And like if he has that in his bag of tricks, he's going to be real nice with it this year.
Yeah. The stats bore that out as well. He had 2 of 3 successful dribbles, sort of successful take-ons, as it were. Also created the most number of what do they call that? Big chances. I think that's how they describe it. Chances created, not big chances. So chances created as a player with 3 was the most on the team. His crossing was incredible. He had a shot that missed by inches. That if that had gone in, man, would have been a cherry on top of a hell of a performance from him. If the timing of those crosses can get just a little bit better, and that's one of those things with just a little more time and maybe a not frozen tundra of a field, maybe it plays a little different. He's right there. Like he had a cross that both Yedlin and Kubo had a sort of bite at the apple each with that. They just both narrowly missed. If on a one of them
too, it's a one timer. It's first touch cross, and there are 2 people with a chance to put it away. Yet Kubo barely misses. It's just barely out of his reach. Yedlin actually gets to it, but he's just too wide to do anything with right there. But just for a first touch cross, unbelievable.
Yeah, you get a couple of those a game, and eventually they're going to start going in. So.
Like I don't want to get greedy, but my thought is like, what if Kai Wagner was also like a top defensive wingback, right?
Like, what would that look like? Would it have a Lego tattoo? I'm just asking questions.
Scale of 1 to problematic. How problematic is it? I was kind of surprised by how fast Lucas Engel is.
Look, as somebody who
do we call that? Do we say that's sneaky athletic? Is that what we say right there?
Yeah, a real gym rat.
It's like probably more of a safety than a quarterback.
No, I was just gonna say, folks can't see this as an audio podcast, but as somebody who in the last 6 months made the decision to shave the hair off of my head, Engel, maybe time to have some difficult conversations with yourself.
just time to go home.
I'm good with him keeping his hair.
The bald spot doesn't get smaller. That's all I'm saying.
I don't. Maybe this is problematic. But like I have a very different association with like people from like Northern Europe shaving their head.
Well, the bald spot very much looks like, classic English football. Like that's somebody that I expect to be playing for Middlesbrough would have like the bald spot and possibly a job at the factory that he works Monday through Friday.
I like seeing the bald spot, to be honest. It's like, we're all human.
Well, then, could I offer you this then as a olive branch to you, Grayson? I'm probably going to butcher the pronunciation. The tonsure, or the monk haircut, where you still got like a nice thick ring of hair around your head, but you just embrace the bald spot as an aesthetic.
I'm okay with that too. That's culture right there. You probably brew a hell of a beer when you get that haircut.
That's what I'm saying.
I need to figure out what kind of heavy metal he listens to before I sign on or off of him shaving his head.
That's a good question. We need a top 5 metal bands from Lucas Angle.
What's that Lego tattoo covering up?
Well, one of the other newcomers that performed admirably, I would say, on the back line, Flores. Incredible for stepping in again as a youngster, a U22 player. He's 21 years old, first time outside of his country, playing against a very good Red Bull team, as we discussed, a team that went to MLS Cup final, and he performed fine, which is all you need from a 21-year-old center back filling in for literally one of the best defenders MLS has ever seen. I thought he did awesome for what he was asked to do.
I think he had about like one or two shaky moments right out of the gate.
Sure.
But calmed down, provided very, very good coverage down the right-hand side, partnered well with DeAndre. Couple of really good passes, progressive passes he made off the back line as well. He was, I think he was on that Paraguay Olympic squad in France.
Yeah, he was.
I don't know how much he played there.
He played a decent amount.
So like, he's no stranger to pressure games or big games. So, the moment probably wasn't going to be too big for him. But on the back line, it's all about communication. It's all about keeping your lines tight, keeping things under control. Again, it's a very good Red Bull attack that has some very annoying players to play against. And biggest compliment, didn't notice he was out there the majority of the time. And when I did notice him, it was because he was doing something good. So,
yeah, I don't want to be too hard on him. I thought he, I think like Kevin said, I thought he did fine.
Yeah, I agree.
I think he's got a lot of growth, which is expected for he's still 19?
21.
No, 21. Still.
Yeah.
Still 21. Very young, especially for a center back. But he has tools for sure. I'm not going to be dreading him getting minutes in games.
No.
Yeah.
And I mentioned it already, but that line-breaking pass to Yedlin was eyebrow raising.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Was in the Bailey for this one and was standing basically right over his shoulder and got to watch that pass. And man, that was something else.
That was what we loved about Cheeto last year when he was on this team, was that ability to vision, to see and make good passes that immediately spring a counterattacking opportunity or move or transition the ball and skip an entire portion of the field in the attack. It's a point you've brought up, Grayson, and this is why I think the two of us definitely, Kevin also has jumped on board this train from time to time. Why we harped so much last year about the underutilization of the U22 spots.
Yes.
And the underutilization in the offseason of the U22 spots is that if you can nail these U22 signings, here's a guy that you're not going to be expecting him to play every game. Once Miazga gets back, he's probably not going to see the field until Miles gets called up on international duty or, God forbid, an injury of some sort.
Miazga's serving a yellow card suspension.
That too.
Or, he'll come in as like a sub.
late game
with fresh legs. Yeah.
But like that is such a luxury to have on the bench, to have that extra body where they're not taking a huge salary spot on the team, but they can come in, he can provide good minutes. He can competently defend his position. And it's one less thing you have to worry about in terms of the depth for this squad.
Yeah. Like you said, like if you can get a handful of these guys, in and a couple of them hit, it looks good.
I might be mistaken, but I don't think Flores played a single preseason game with the team.
No, because his visa got approved right before they went to Honduras.
And I think he has barely trained with the team. So when you add that in, really impressive first week.
That's right, because against Motagua, they put in the Stanford kid, Adnan.
Right, and Flores came in as he made his debut, but he came in as a late sub, and the game, that was a different game.
Yeah, and it was very different there. But also, I will say, maybe his hand is forced a little bit here based on where the roster stands, but credit to Noonan for playing a U22 kid and giving him the start here. This has been a sort of not a true criticism of Noonan, but something to keep an eye on was his sort of willingness to try out younger players throughout the season and sort of bleeding in young talent. And sure, maybe they weren't good enough or whatever, but at a certain level you got to see what you got, and it was good to see him get the start.
I was just started Alvis there.
I was about to say exactly. I was expecting they were going to start Alvis and that they would have Flores play the Wednesday return match with Motagua here at TQL, but good on them. Do we want to get up top to where the real fun debuts are?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay, let's start with Evander. So we got our first taste of Evander in the midweek game, and I tend to view that Champions Cup game as more like street ball than actual game. Like, it was very clear Evander was told to go out there and just, kick it around, have some fun with it. It didn't look like there was a huge game plan for him to be involved in, which, he'd only been there for 4 or 5 days at the time that he played there. This time he's getting the start. There's clearly more of a tactical setup for him. And I think it took him a little bit to get into the game this time. And part of that was because when you watch back, New York is marking him immediately and surrounding him whenever he is not only has the ball, but it is in a position to receive the ball to begin with. Yeah. So they were making life very difficult for Evander. But when he gets on the ball, good Lord, is he smooth? And I'll tell you what, I was worried the little tricks would disappear with Lucho leaving. We got some little tricks, and they were a lot of fun to watch.
With Motagua, again, like, I agree, it was like kind of a street ball. But my takeaway from watching Evander and Denkey when they were on the field together was there was a lot of like interplay with other players on the team in a way where it wasn't just like with Lucho when he played the ball to other guys in the offensive third. A lot of it felt like, okay, well, he's done like 4 different things, tried them. He's still in trouble. He's going to pass it out to Yamil Assad, and then he's going to get into some space and get the ball back right away, and then try to make something happen. Where other guys are in the situations are more just like, it's like, they're like outlets, or like, it's like, bouncing the ball against the wall.
Right. He's passing just to get the ball back is what he's doing a lot of the time.
And it felt like with Motagua that there was ideas where it's like, no, these other guys in the offense, like, are other players with like agency, and they're all playing together in a way that you didn't often see with Lucho. And again, like, that was Motagua, but I still think that like there was idea like that seemed to be like an expression of that idea.
Yeah.
Like that was like how they want to play.
Yeah. No, with Lucho, it very much felt like he viewed the game as his personal FIFA team, and everybody else is CPU controlled except him. And so the only thing he's looking for is I got to win player of the year. And
he did.
And he did. And for a lot of the time, he was the best option. So, of course, I'm going to naturally pass it off your forehead to myself so that I can score. Thank you for standing in the right position to allow this to happen. And that's such a big stylistic change for this team, to where you have a player now with Evander where he is looking to get other people involved in the offense. He is, there's I think it was said at the pre-media, or somebody was reporting in the paper this week, where it's, he says to Denkey, I plan on getting a lot of assists to you.
So it was him at his introductory press conference saying that Denkey told him he likes to score goals, and then Evander says, so I tell him, I will give you some assists.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Whereas that same interaction with Lucho is probably, well, I also like to score goals. He said it in an ominous tone. And this locker room isn't big enough for the both of us. So I thought Evander, I don't think it was the best game we're going to see from Evander by a long shot.
Agreed.
And I think that a large part of that, again, comes down to it's just so much of what will make him successful is knowing on the field, okay, when I see Denkey in this position, I know he's about to do this, and therefore I can pass him to this spot. And Denkey knowing, okay, when Evander is on the ball, I know he is going to want to go one way where I can open space another way. And imagine that same conversation, but with all 11 players on the field, of just knowing tendencies, knowing where people are, knowing where are going to be, so that you can better understand the space that's going to be created by that. So I think that'll only get better, but I'll tell you what, having him on the field, it's fun to watch. The free kicks look immediately more dangerous when he's over top of them. There were some. He
had one that seemed real close.
There were a couple that were incredibly close, and honestly, it makes me frustrated that just being outside of the post doesn't count as a shot on target, because man, he is so close on a bunch of those.
And not only that too, like there's some free kicks where there's delivered with some venom into into the danger area, as they say. And it's been a long time since we've had, it's felt like some dangerous balls have been played in for just to create drama and trouble. I enjoy that.
Yeah. I like the pace he puts on his free kicks.
Yeah. Yep. It's nice. It's nice.
It was also nice to see, and I guess this is a good time to bring it up, the variety of corner kick takers. Evander took some, Angle took some, Baird took some. Like it was nice to see the variety. They're not all going to come off. It's an incredibly low percentage play generally, but it was nice to see, if they aren't going to come off, that they fail in different ways, that different things are happening. It wasn't the same type of failure every single time, no matter what. And I appreciated that.
Other thing to point out too, I don't know that I've noticed it, but I noticed it when I was at the stadium. This team got a lot bigger, just physically bigger. Like, like Denkey and Evander are both soccer big. I understand that like
right.
Yeah. Like
they're
Denkey
5'7".
Denkey is damn near 6 foot tall.
Yes.
And looks like the man's chiseled out of marble. Like, good God. I don't understand how plants produce that. I don't understand how an all plant diet results in that, but it is what it is. And Evander is not slight in this at all. He's every bit of 5'10", 5'11", it looks like. And Angle is a bigger looking dude. There are some guys where it's like there's some people going to make some business decisions when these guys start charging down the field on a couple of these attacks.
Yeah, I'd say particularly when Anunga has come into the match a couple of times as a big player out there.
Oh, there's a lot going on with Brian Anunga.
He had a hell of a tackle, I think, like shortly after he came on.
Oh yeah, he subbed right on and let it be known he was in the game.
Immediately like cleaned out a guy. It was awesome.
Right, yeah. Just him saying his name right there is all that is.
Look, I've been trying to sing his praises all preseason. I think he's going to be an underrated aspect of this team and their higher aspirations. So
I think Gas kind of nailed it though when you brought him up. That he didn't do what Nashville wanted from him because he wasn't progressing the ball, right?
Yeah.
And we're not going to ask him to do that.
They wanted
just
Ibuka
to flatten people.
Yeah, they wanted Ibuka and they didn't get that with them. It's like, hey, we just need you to make sure the other team doesn't get an offense.
We need you to be on a supplemental roster spot and come in the game and just smash guys.
Destroy.
Right. So that brings us to Kevin Denkey. And
does it?
Fellas, I've got Denkey fever, man, and I've got it bad. This is fun. This dude rules.
I cannot believe the patience he has in the box.
Yes.
Like he is just so calm.
He reminds me of Le'Veon Bell, like the running back, where
the patience to see the hole, baby.
Just, it's you're screaming, go do something. It's like, no, not yet. It's not ready yet. And he has an incredible touch. There's like the term, the striker's touch is a meme for a reason. That ain't Denkey, man. That he has a smooth touch. He's got a smooth first touch. And he just never seems overexcited. He never seems like he gets out of speed. He's moving at his own speed. And the close quarters play that he has in the box is just, it's incredible. It's so much fun to watch.
Fun little aspect of his game that you're maybe not expecting from a striker. Historically, this number is very low. The most accurate passer on the team last night, like 93% is the number I'm looking at here. Nobody else beat that number that played at least a half of this game. Awesome. Like his relationship and if you look up the MLS analytics Blue Sky account, they put out some cool graphics. I gotta say, this is a good time to bring it up. We've sang the praises of Lucas Angle, the passing map that they have on this site. It is from the center back to the left center back to Angle to Denkey. And if that isn't the sort of Cincinnati play that we used to see back in 2023, we're going to get pretty close to it. And that is fun to see.
He made Angle look really good on his goal against Motagua.
Yeah.
The softness with which he receives that ball and just the nice little touch to get it in the spot. Like, I know this is a cliche, but it's like, man, that's a goal against anybody.
Yeah. And he came close. He scores the only goal of this match. Yes. Reminds me a little of GB against Columbus, where just sort of the looping header, not a lot of pace on it, but just hitting the exact right spot. The keeper is charging out and he just sort of nudges it over the top of the keeper's head on a long ball from DeAndre Yedlin that sort of lands in no man's land. And Denkey is the first one to it. Chips the keeper with a header that sort of just slowly ambles its way goalward.
So good.
Denkey's run on that goal, incredible. Because I think he like starts the sequence offside.
Yes, and then tracks back,
gets back, gets himself just onside, but it's like by a guy who's not on him.
Yeah,
right. And then he times it perfectly to be in the box to receive that.
You can see that the guy who's marking him thinks that the line is straight, and Denkey is the one that notices that there is it's the left wing back or the left back for the Red Bulls that is keeping him on by being about 2 steps further back from the rest of the Red Bulls line. And so he lines himself up with that guy, not his mark, and is already a step by as soon as Yedlin plays the ball over the top. And just the fearlessness with going into that header, knowing you're going to have a collision with the goalkeeper, probably.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And never touches the ball. Like he lets the ball do the work. It bounces, and then he obviously heads the ball, but he doesn't take the ball down to control it. He uses the momentum of the ball entirely. It's awesome. And it's that patience. He's not rushing it. He's not trying to get the ball. He's letting the play develop in front of him. Chips, one of the better goalkeepers in this league, like a guy that stood on his head to get their team to MLS Cup last year. I'll just keep saying it. Like, these are the teams that we have to be able to beat if we want to be that team this year. And this put them away. Like, this was so fun to watch.
He was also close on 2 or 3 other goals during the course of the run of play. He had one that was called back that he hit the woodwork on that was on an offside, that was called offside. But that was close. He had another one where it was a turn and snapshot, well, surrounded by 3 or 4 people, that went just wide, I think. And then in the dying moments of the game, he gets the ball right on the doorstep and just sort of like almost, hits a lob wedge instead of, bouncing it up there. And it goes over the top of the bar. And he was pissed off at himself after that one. That was one Noonan said in his presser. He had to go talk to him after the game on the field and be like, dude, we won. It's cool. Like, you'll get the second one the next time. But
love that.
But what I love about that, though, is that we're seeing multiple different ways that he can score. It's like, okay, can use his head on a run over the top like that, chip the goalkeeper, in traffic, creates a goal scoring opportunity for himself. And then in that actual poacher style where ball finds himself at his feet and he has the opportunity to put one away that's been pinging around a little bit. So you're seeing the many facets of what Denkey has in the bag in terms of his ability to score. And that's after 2 games. That's cool.
Yeah. It speaks so much to obviously his abilities, but then the many different ways that this team will be able to break down other teams, that will have different ways to score, especially as that connection builds with these guys. Ideally, and assuming Luca Orishano is back in this lineup, that this team is going to be versatile. The crosses and the long balls coming from the back line and the wing backs to the defensive work in the middle of the field, winning the balls quickly and getting to the creative players up top. It was fun to see the different ideas that this team had in attack. It wasn't a bunch of guys waiting for magic to happen from a magician, a goddamn wizard, to be clear, but this was a bunch of guys trying new things out, and that was really, really fun to watch.
Not to glaze too much, though, I will say that great we won. You see the potential. It was also a very sloppy game. For first game of the year, you expect that, especially given the conditions, but the passing was not great overall. I didn't think there was way too much of a willingness in this game to try and make the spectacular pass versus holding possession, making good passes, short passes, holding possession, getting the ball into dangerous positions, and then trying to make the big spectacular through ball. There was too many, I think, sloppy passes from Obi, Pavel, and Yuya specifically. I don't think their timing was where they need to be, and I think that'll get better as there's more time together, there's more training together. But all in all, I was disappointed a little bit in some of the, I'll say, the regulars for this team, that there was just a carelessness and a casualness with the ball, that they would spend effort on the back line winning possession back and then would immediately concede possession by just making an ill-advised pass that just didn't, low percentage opportunities to get the ball to someone further down the field, when maybe someone coming back and progressing it further. It was just making it really hard to beat the Red Bulls press for them. And you could tell it was frustrating everyone. The one player that I want to single out that I think was the exception to this, I think DeAndre Yedlin had an incredible game. I think he was really, really good in this game. both moving forward. He has the assist on the only goal of the night. He has a couple other really great passes, defends really well. There was some chatter about his play in the CONCACAF Champions Cup. No, DeAndre is a pro's pro. He's still very, very good at what he does. And I thought it was a very, very good game from DeAndre.
Yeah, he almost got on the end of a couple of things that, couple inch bounce or whatever. And, he's on the score sheet. And so he's active. I think, did what you would want and expect out of him. I think there were some guys who weren't great. I think I agree with Chief. The overall game was a little sloppy. Coming out of a win like this, there's a quote from Harvey Keitel in Pulp Fiction that comes to mind that I'm not going to say. But I also don't see a lot of value in like really critiquing anybody in this game. They came out of it. They came out of it with 3 points. I think you saw most of what you would hope to see from the first game of the year, especially with all the new faces and some of them coming into the team late. So my big takeaway is, you beat Red Bull in a Red Bull game.
Yeah.
Won
your season opener.
And you deserved it. They deserved it,
Yeah.
Like they didn't dominate, but they were deserving winners in that game.
Yeah. I would agree. I don't think you can say they dominated it, but I don't ever feel like the match was truly in doubt. Like the team.
Forsberg hit that was called offside.
Yeah,
but there was that one sequence where where Forsberg hit the post.
I'm not saying they didn't get opportunities, and to that point, Roman Celentano had a hell of a game. There were a number of saves you could highlight as being, some of his best saves in a long, long time. There was one where he has to make like a double save laying on the ground. That was awesome. Mm-hmm. He was incredible. I understand.
He was more aggressive too, which I like to see.
I forget what minute it happens, but there is a moment in this game where he has to, he doesn't have to. This is like goalkeeper flair, where he sort of like tapped the ball like a volleyball, set the ball over, I think it was Forsberg, and then ran around him to grab the ball as it bounced over the guy's head. Like, I love stylish goalkeeping like that. Very fun.
he commanded his area a lot better than I've seen him in years past too. Like going and making the play on the ball in traffic, getting out there and grabbing it on some of the set pieces that New York was running, which I thought was to his credit. His distribution I thought was better. Like and what I mean by better is that there wasn't a single time I can recall watching this game where I groaned because he kicked the ball out of bounds directly off a restart. So progress there. I thought it was other than Denkey, he would probably be my second choice for man of the match just because of how strong he played and how just, kept a clean sheet. It's important too, because Noonan's brought this up. They only won 7 home games last year.
Yeah.
Like 7 of 17 home games they were able to, they won. And it's kind of absurd they finished as highly in the standings as they did with that kind of awful home record. They were
right.
I mean, they were on a torrid pace on the road, but this team needs to get back to winning games at home. And with teams like with Red Bulls, it's going to be tough to go back there and play at their place because just of the types of games they create. You got to win these first legs on home soil, and you got to build those point totals at home.
Yeah. When we ran through our preseason run through the entire season predict, just so people know, we predicted a 1-1 draw in this game. So we're ahead of schedule for our 65-point season.
Nice. Love that for us.
In terms of, I'll I'll cast a criticism. Yuya Kubo was invisible in this game. Had 33 touches for the sort of co-attacker up top, or I guess one of the attacking trio, the Trident, wasn't. I don't know. It was disappointing. I know he's missed a bunch of the preseason, but also he's been with this team. He knows a handful of these guys. I guess a lot of the guys he's working with over there are new, but would have liked to have seen a little more there.
I thought he had an okay game. He had one horrid pass that almost set up a direct attack from New York, but he won 2 incredibly dangerous free kicks early on in the match that gave Evander an opportunity to flex a little bit with what he's able to do now. And look, I mean, if this team is good at delivering set pieces, winning set pieces is all of a sudden about to become really important. So, I wanted to see more from Kubo in this match. He was kind of just there. I don't know.
Kubo gets a set piece about a third of the times that he's fouled.
Right. If he would just be properly officiated, like it would be a completely different story.
Well, it's just because it's just so funny because like Red Bull called dibs on like years ago. They just decided to call dibs on like their identity being kicking the shit out of people and flopping. And then since it's their identity, you have to respect it.
Yeah, that's just they're playing their style. You're a dirty cheater when you try that
or something.
Yeah. Speaking of officiating, I will say, good on the posts. New photographer for capturing an incredible shot of DeAndre Yedlin just absolutely getting his foot annihilated in the box to no call. And the Apple TV announcers bizarrely saying, well, they saw an angle where he wasn't even touched. Like
his ankle is being stepped on and turned sideways. And I totally understand FCC had a couple of complaints that could go back their way. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah. But I was going to say, balancing that out, though, it's kind of a miracle Obi wasn't sent off with a second yellow in this game.
That was definitely one I was thinking of.
I agree with that.
So the Lord giveth and the Lord, the pro giveth and pro taketh away. They only think they're the Lord.
Yeah. But in terms of substitutes, there's 2 I want to highlight. One of them, Corey Baird. Look, we've been as mean to Corey Baird as anybody.
It's been mostly me. Let's be real here.
Corey was lively.
Yeah,
I like Corey in both of the games. I liked him in Motagua. He was doing a lot of defensive pressing work there that I think went unnoticed, and he was very lively in this one. He was busting his ass. He deserved a goal on his shot that was so close.
What if we are like Bizarro Goss theorem and international players come in and they're great in year 1, but domestics, when they come to FC Cincinnati, take a year to get it under their belt?
Chief, I'm so glad you brought this up because I was going to ask, are we immune to the Goss theorem?
No, it's just our domestic players. Like this year will be a breakout year for both. We all said last year, Miles was good, but we didn't really, best.
Look, if that's the case, that means Yedlin, Robinson, and Baird are about to pop off, and this team is unstoppable if that's the case.
Right. If we have the player that we thought we signed in Corey Baird on this team, I mean, that's just like a new signing.
Yeah, right.
Right. And second of all,
man, we could have used this guy last year.
Second of all, we have depth we never dreamed of.
Right. Unbelievable. Actually, so here's a fun fact.
2020 Sergio Santos somehow.
Vibes, all vibes, no breaks.
Here's a fun fact. Speaking of Goss theorem and maybe the criticism some people have had that Chris Albright leans too heavily on American players. Across the entire midfield and forward section of this roster, there are but 3 Americans.
But Denmark, at least parts of Denmark, may be part of America soon.
That's true. So it does get a little confusing.
I will
say of the okay, well, if we're counting, I don't think Engel's from Denmark or is from Greenland, to be clear.
Right. But besides, we lost the hockey game, so I think we're now part of Canada. Is how this works?
Are we the 11th province within? Does that mean Greenland becomes a part of Canada?
Do you know who's really mad? You know who'd be really mad about that is Carter, because he had to do all that work to get his work situation here sorted. It's like, wait, we just became Canadian?
But somebody who fought mob is telling me still internationally represents Romania. Stefan Shirilla came into this game, baby. That's right. The 18-year-old. Look, again, if the criticism was Noonan was unwilling to bleed in young talent.
My man, he played for 60 seconds.
That's all I need. But that's more than he got last year when he was also on a first-team contract.
Against Motagua, he was directly involved in Evander's goal.
Yes, sir.
He somehow dragged like 3 defenders with him to leave Evander totally unmarked in the box.
Look, I don't
for
want
a worldie, to be clear.
I don't want to crap on Shirilla. Could he look more Gen Z though?
That was my first thought.
I don't know that I ever really paid close attention to him since he wasn't on the main.
Is he Gen Z or is he Gen Alpha?
He's Gen Nebula. I don't know what is after.
What is the gen that like everybody has a broccoli head haircut? Like that's the gen he's in right now.
Yeah, I think that is that.
maybe he and Engel just need to shave their heads together is what we need to do right here.
There we go. Yeah. It'll be a team bonding experience.
He appears to be Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Kick all our asses in Fortnite in addition to soccer.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I would love to see Shirilla get the start maybe on Wednesday. I think that could be a lot of fun. Him and Baird up top, just banging in goals for fun. Let's see it. Come on.
Yeah. Let's get weird with it.
I don't know. So,
speaking of people I really hope get a start on Wednesday, Kevin.
Are we talking about
our guest?
Oh, I was going to say Brenner, baby. Let's go.
let's do that on the back end.
Okay. We'll touch on some.
That's a tease right there.
The juicy gossip. No, the person that we are hoping starts, and God forbid anybody in the FC Cincinnati front office is listening to this.
Start my man.
Turn it off. But if you do continue to listen, you have to start Evan. Okay, we got the vibes check from Evan Louro here. He is one of our favorite conversations. Okay, I know I cannot say his name. Don't worry about it. We'll figure that out later. Evan is such a good conversation. I think you're going to love this. We had a blast talking with him. Afterwards, we will touch on, yes, Brenner. What? We'll hit a couple of Patreon questions and maybe some predictions for the Motagua match on Wednesday. So enjoy this conversation. I know you will, because we did. We'll catch you on the other side. Before we get on over to the next part of the episode, I do want to tell you about our friends over at Cincy Shirts. That is right. New year, new you. Go pick up some new threads over at Cincy Shirts. They got what you're looking for. They got Cincinnati sports. They got Cincinnati culture, Cincinnati geography, Cincinnati businesses, everything you're looking for. They got it over there at cincyshirts.com. Hey, when you're there, use the promo code ThePostCincy, all one word, all caps. They knock 10% off your entire order for using that one. And if I don't mind dropping this one, we sell merch through Cincy Shirts. That's right. You want a Post shirt, a Cincy shirt from Cincy Shirts? Check them out. It is good stuff there. We will have new designs for the new year, but they're not there yet. So this might be your last chance to collect some of these designs. You want an Opie shirt, one of the 12. They got some good stuff there. Hey, they're not just online. They're in person as well. Go check them out in Loveland and in Northern Kentucky. They've got 2 fantastic locations. They will print on demand. You can work with them, come up with maybe a little goofy idea. They'll work with you, I promise. And again, the promo code, ThePostCincy, all one word, all caps. They knock 10% off your order. That works on Post merch as well. Want to support us twice? Absolutely, you can do that. So huge thank you again to our friends over at Cincy Shirts, and a huge thank you to you, listener, for using that code. And joining us here in part 2, a very special guest. You know him, you love him. We love having him on the postcast. The one and only FC Cincinnati goalkeeper, Evan Louro. Evan, how are we doing tonight, man?
I'm doing good. How are you guys doing?
Well, as fans of this team, we could not be doing better. Okay, I'll say on this side of the touch line, the vibes are immaculate. I've got to ask you though, how are the vibes around this team right now?
I mean, you saw Evander's Meg.
Yeah.
It feels pretty good.
Yeah.
Usually that's something you see on an And One mixtape rerun from the early to mid 2000s. And there's someone shouting in the background and the crowd all making that, the hand motion. Oh my God, what just happened?
Yeah, literally. Yeah.
Do you guys tell me to do something like that? Or is that just him expressing himself naturally?
From what I've gathered over the past 2 weeks, that is him expressing himself naturally.
I was just wondering if it was something that was passed along with the number 10 kit in this organization, that as soon as you put that on, it confers the deep desire to nutmeg people publicly.
Yeah, I mean, I hear no lies.
Oh my God, this I gotta know. Chief kind of touches on it, and I don't want to go too deep. We're not a tabloid outlet, but I am curious. This was a dramatic off season as far as the silly season was concerned for FC Cincinnati. How much are you paying attention to that as a player? Are you living and dying by it? Do you just check in when preseason starts? What does that look like?
Are you saying in terms of the off season when we're not in preseason?
Yeah, we're not in preseason.
Yeah, we'll get the preseason next here. So like off season first.
I mean, I think everybody kind of, once the season kind of ends, everybody, I guess rightfully so, just needs a break and just kind of goes off into their own abyss. I stayed here in Cincinnati. So I was around, I was at the facility. There's a good amount of guys actually that stayed around. And I mean, you always hear like stuff going on. And at the end of the day, we were just like, you know what, whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and kind of go from there.
Yeah.
First couple days were interesting though. I'll tell you that.
when you actually get down to preseason though, is it one of those things where are guys talking about like, so did everybody show up this morning? Like, are you guys talking about that? Are you wondering, it's like, oh, he left. I wonder if that's the last time we're going to see him ever, like when he walks off the field, or is it more just we all find out together when somebody tells us what's going on type thing?
Yeah, I think Pat said it best last night. I think we have a group that's really good at just like getting on with it and just kind of rolling with the punches. It's obviously hard to not notice people not there. Right. But at the end of the day, like we all have a job to do, and we just kind of focus on ourselves, and whoever's there, we do what we do. And when the other guys get there, they get there and they do what they do. And we all are one big happy family, and it kind of just goes from there,
Yeah, for sure. Speaking of preseason, did we avoid any coffee machine, espresso machine tragedies this offseason? Was it smooth sailing on the coffee front at least?
Yeah, so Nick actually brought it himself this time. Okay. Because of that. It had a seat. Because normally, like, I guess what they do is they send the truck a couple days before we leave.
Okay.
And they put it on the truck, and that's where it got kind of messed up last year. So Nick physically, boxed it up himself and, put it had a window seat. And he brings the beans, and then, so we were all good this year. Couple vans had some damage, though, let me tell you.
Oh no. What happened with the vans? I need a van story. I need one van story.
All I can say is only one van made it unscathed out of about 5.
Can you say who was or wasn't the driver of that van?
I mean, some of you guys are lawyers, right? I can't do that. I can't.
Very smart.
For insurance purposes, I don't think I can do that.
Yeah, never confess to anything recorded. Always have your representation present. Absolutely.
You guys entering them in demolition derbies down there for your spare time or something?
It seemed like it. Just like sometimes you just. How do you have a license, bud?
Are you talking about your teammates or the other drivers in Florida? Because that equally applies, I think, to both of them.
No, 100% teammates.
I'm just, for my own headcanon, these are all the young guys. It's Sharilla, it's Jimenez, it's all of these guys are the drivers.
You do have like a few people eliminated, right? Given the number of people that were in camp.
That's true. There are some known innocents here.
yeah, you can say that.
Every team engages in its own bonding, all bonding over filling out accident reports and insurance claims. That's certainly one way to get the team coming closer together. Or the code of silence in the van, like we're going to say we got hit like by a parked car or something like that.
Yeah, I don't know if you can really deny any of these. Everyone's kind of there, but
we do know that somebody like Evander is not able to say they don't speak English when questioned.
Dude, let me tell you, for like the first 3 days, because he's just naturally a quieter person, and obviously like being new, and I was like, oh, this guy doesn't speak English, so I speak Spanish. It's my first language.
Okay.
So. And he's obviously from Brazil, so he speaks Portuguese. So I can dabble in Portuguese. So I'm speaking to him in just Portuguese for 3 days. And then somebody else talked to him in English, and he'd respond like perfect English. And I was like,
yeah, right.
Dude, what the hell? I'm over here making myself look like a jackass because I guess my Portuguese probably isn't great.
But no way. He was hyped to be on a team with a Brazilian goalkeeper for 3 days. Come on.
He's like, yeah, no, he's like, yeah, dude, I speak English. I was like, shit.
It's a good thing that got outed before you were started talking about him in front of him in English. Like, oh, he doesn't speak English. You can say whatever you want.
Yeah, I guess so.
Pat starts yelling at him in training. He's like, weren't you listening? And you're like, wait, Pat. He doesn't speak English.
He doesn't get it.
Hold on. I can interpret for him. I speak Portuguese. Hold on 1 second right here. Evander, my man, what he's saying is what?
I did tell Pat he can be Evan if he wants to.
Does he go by Evan?
No, but I didn't know. I was like, hey, listen, I'll take one for the team here.
It's like when the superstar shows up and somebody's got to give up their number, right?
Yeah.
For their kit. Yeah. I'll give up my name. I'm a good teammate.
Fair enough.
That's
I've been meaning to ask this.
Van Louro was born.
Van Louro. There we go.
Van Louro is kind of a badass name, actually.
But I had nothing to do with the van crisis.
Again, this is not an admission of guilt in any way, shape, or form. Since the Coffee Boys came out, I feel like we haven't asked you this. What is your coffee order? What's the go-to?
All right, you can ask other people. I'm not lying. Are you talking like just Starbucks or from that machine?
What however you want to answer this question.
So Starbucks, I go every morning and I'll get a grande nitro with 3 shots of espresso. That's it.
Yeah.
It'll keep you going till 9 a.m.
Yeah, just all gas. I don't need the nonsense. Just give me caffeine. And by the time I'm on the street, like out of the drive-thru, it's done.
Wow. Love that.
Then just loop back to the drive-thru for another one, like a psycho.
Everyone hates it because it makes it makes DeAndre feel very uncomfortable. So I just house it.
Why?
I don't know. He's like, dude, just like, come on. And I'm like,
that can't
what?
be good for you. It's like,
yeah. He's like, yo, your heart is like, and I'm like, yeah, it's fit as hell.
yeah,
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I don't have to do cardio anymore.
That's it.
Yeah, right.
it's like, come on, man.
It's like, go
I'm
ahead,
built
check
different.
my pulse. Check my pulse. I'm sleeping basically.
It's like going out to like a wine tasting with people and Evan's just doing shots of port. Like, all right, we're in the ballpark of the experience, I guess.
Figure it out.
I love that. Coffee as a supplement. That's good.
Yeah, efficiency.
Well,
Yeah.
what about from the machine?
Yeah.
We do. So it has like the double shot little touchscreen. I have one in my house, but I don't use it. Kind of a waste of money, but whatever. Can't take it to the grave.
Well, you probably paid for it with the MLS moving stipend, so it's.
I actually did. That's hilarious. I was like, sorry, MLS, I need a coffee machine.
It's a requirement.
But yeah, I just hit like double shot, and then I just do that twice, and it's kind of like yay big.
Throws a pint glass under the nozzle and just hits double shot till it reaches the brim.
I toss an ice cube or two in there just so I can house it and not burn my face off. That's all I really need.
That's smart.
It's just it's temperature control, because like I'm not worried about what it's doing once it gets inside my body, but like I do need to have the mouth available for the rest of the day.
Yeah, it's really sucks when you burn your tongue.
Yeah.
You ever have the cold brew where the ice cube is made of cold brew?
Oh, yes.
Ooh.
Yes. They like freeze cold brew and then they pour the cold. Yeah. I had that in Jersey though. I've never had that here though.
I don't know if they do it in Cincinnati.
Ooh.
I've had it elsewhere.
Investors,
Possibly putting in the market. Come on. But I needed to ask you about this because the team had a unique opportunity recently, getting to travel away to Honduras for an away game. What is a Honduras away day, match day like compared to MLS or Cincinnati match day?
I mean, we try to, I guess, keep everything relatively the same. It was a bit weird playing. I think we kicked off at like 9:00, which for me, as a dad of 2, is very late.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we do a good job of just keeping everything the same. Obviously, like going to the bus and having people say, "Oh, like we're gonna stab you," like that was fun. It was a lot of police. Like, yeah.
Did they just say it, or do they also like wave a knife around?
No.
Like
They
it's
just
proof
said
of
it.
like I can do it too.
they just said it, and then I was like, I think like one guy told Obi, "Hey, F you," and Obi's like, "Why?" Yeah, it's just like, I guess, yeah, sorry.
Just completely disarming any shit talking.
Yeah, it's like, why are you saying that to me? Like,
Using a Socratic method to fight back against shit talking. I approve.
Yeah, it's just like, what are you saying that for, dude? And he's like, yeah, all right, sorry, fair enough.
Be better.
Yeah.
Did they let you explore Honduras at all, or were you guys locked down in that hotel?
Yeah, we had about, I think, six security that we brought. And then, they have people that they reach out to locally, and they were all there. So we were, I don't want to say they like locked us in our rooms, but they're like, hey, probably not a great idea to leave just because we don't know the area and, stuff like that. But from what I saw, honestly, it was nice looking area that we were in. And it's nice to like play those games, like they have flares or lighting off fireworks in the middle of the game. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. Some guy's SUV was parked just off the field, like right behind the goal.
Yeah.
It's a different vibe.
There's like dogs running around everywhere, and it's just like sick.
It definitely felt like the type of stadium where a dog would be running out onto the field.
100%.
Yeah, there was also a notice I saw online to their home fans to please don't shoot off fireworks at this game. And then I think after like the second or third goal, their fans gave up and just launched all the fireworks.
I think they had like a couple flares like in the stadium, and then it was like right outside that, like they must have been under the stands, just like missing the stands by feet, just like going up right above the goal. Like I think it was after our third goal, and yeah, they seemed like they were having a great time. So
awesome.
Yeah, you know what? Good for them. Good on them.
Yeah.
So in terms of being a player, you play in Honduras, you take a 3,000-mile flight back to Cincinnati, because you guys went right from Florida to Honduras, right? Is my understanding. So you go right from Florida to Honduras. You take a 3,000-mile flight back to Cincinnati, and your game is the coldest kickoff in team history. What is that? Because I know, like, when I do that, when it's like you go somewhere warm, you travel to someplace cold, I feel miserable for like a week straight after that kind of a temperature shift. What is it like going from playing in Honduras in Central America to being in Cincinnati where you're freezing your face off on the field?
It's not fun, but I mean, it's definitely, I honestly think everyone's desire to just get home kind of just like suffocated that coldness, if that makes sense. Yeah. We were gone for like some guys, we did, I think 2 weeks, I think it was 14 days, the first trip in Florida. And then we have 4 days off, and you can do whatever you want. You can stay there. Everyone usually with kids kind of comes home for those 4 days. And then you go right back. And then I think it was like 16 or 17 days, the second trip. So like, there's only so many acai bowls you can get in Florida to like pass the time. So like everyone was just like, after Honduras, we were like, let's get home. Let's get back to Cincy, back to our routines, back to the facility, all the stuff that we know, and then kind of figure the rest out. We trained, I think we got back on the Thursday, and then we trained on the Friday. So that was pretty cold. So we got like a little taste of it. And I actually think it was warmer for the game than when we trained. So that like made it a little better, I guess.
Yeah.
You'd say at least it wasn't so bad. So you're in Florida for 30 days. On what day does the boredom set in and you start to think to yourself, I see all these Scientology buildings. Maybe I should give this a try.
Yo, I had multiple conversations with people trying to get a tour. We have, and I don't want to offend anybody, but we have a theory that they are all program Sims. Because every day at 12:05, we would see the same guy walking the same route. Wow. And we would meet him at the same corner. And I talked, he spoke English, but he was German. I'm like, hey, bud, what's going on? And they're all wearing, uniforms and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm in the goalkeeper van, obviously. So I'm like, how's this work? And he was like trying to explain it. And I'm like, can I get a tour? And then we were like, let's send Paul Walters in first.
Obviously, yeah.
We could just like tie a rope to his waist or something. So we have to like pull him out. But then they were like, oh, you can't, because like there's the main building there. And I was like, I want to get in there. And then I was like, if I go in there, am I coming out? And then he's like, well, you can't get a tour of that building. You need to go to one down the street. I'm like, oh, so it's not really. He's like, oh, that's the visitors building. I'm like, I don't want the visitor tour. I want Tom Cruise tour. So yeah, that was fun.
Oh my God.
It's like,
I guess to answer your question, day 3.
Does him being German just kind of lend credence to the Sims theory? Because it's like, how is he German? Why?
Right.
Unless somebody was like, we're just going to make this one German.
Yeah. And it was like this. It was so like the same people were like getting dropped off by buses like at the same time. I'm like, what's going on?
That is so creepy.
It was like it was drawing me in though. I could see how people like
they got their shit together. Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like they all dress like they're wearing like blazers and stuff and have like pins. And I was like, you guys look sharp.
You should have done like a jersey swap. You can give him like your goalkeeper kit and see if you can get
I should have done that
from him.
I should have done that.
Next preseason, we need to see you out there in a nice sweater.
I will do my best.
Some teams, they say, oh, there's the flu bug is going through the goalkeeper's room. It's like, no, there's a touch of cult going through the goalkeeper's room right now.
They all got a little too curious and we lost half the team.
Vibes are good right now. What's the prediction for the rest of the season? We're 1-0. So far undefeated. Can't win them all till you win the first one. How are we feeling about this upcoming year? Because on this side, we're all ecstatic, excited. But from the other side, how are we feeling?
I mean, I'm pretty excited. Obviously, we had big pieces leave.
Sure.
But we got some big pieces too. And I don't know. I something feels good, if that makes sense.
I like that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sit here and like promise the world, but it feels nice.
We're already expecting it. It's fine. You don't need to promise it.
Fair. That's fair.
So is Evander practicing penalties with you yet?
No, I'm scratching the Kevin Denkey's surface though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I saw you guys at like a competition.
Yeah. Oh,
and you beat him, right?
I can rattle him.
Yeah. That's good.
I don't think the Belgians are good at chirping like I am. And I think I caught him by surprise first couple of days, and he's like, "Dude, you're a goalie." I'm like, yeah. He's really nice though. He's like, honestly, like how he plays and like how he works defensively and stuff like that, and like doesn't care that he's, the one of the most expensive signings ever. Like he does not care. Like he's gonna do what he has to do, which quite frankly, I respect. But
yeah. Noonan said he had to console him after the game, immediately after the whistle, because he had a miss that like he took very personally.
Yeah, he is like an unbelievable professional. Like I think after the flight from Honduras, it's like we got back at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night, and he's like going to the facility to go in the sauna. Like he's he's a real pro.
Damn. It's
awesome.
That's
also
great. I'm glad he's on our side.
Looks like a museum statue come to life too on the field. Good God.
Absolute tank.
Yeah.
I do have one last question.
Fire away. I got nothing to do.
Okay. Well, I guess I got more, but one question I definitely wanted to get you on the record for was we saw some news that Beckham Sunderland is going to be at Michigan kicking.
Yep.
Who is a better field goal kicker, you or Beckham?
I mean, I would like to back myself. But if I know Michigan, and I do, they're not dumb people. So if they're bringing him, then he must have something. And I've never seen him kick field goal. I have no idea. But he could absolutely wallop a ball when he was here. And I was only here with him specifically for 2 or 3 months.
Mm-hmm.
Super nice kid. So yeah, I hope he smashes it, but I still back myself.
Good. Grayson, what else do you got, man? Well, it's not.
I'm curious. You talked a little bit about working with Kevin and seeing Evander express himself, on the training field. I'm always wondering, like, how much the goalies see of the other guys when you're training, because I guess I thought that you guys were kind of doing your own thing and the field players are doing something else.
Yeah. So usually, like, how a typical session works is like the goalkeepers, we're the only ones that work around here. Let's be honest.
Sure.
Of course.
So we usually go out about half hour earlier than everybody. So we'll have our own session to the side, with Paul Rogers, for about 40 minutes, give or take. The field players will like come out when they feel like it, and like play some tic-tac-toe with cones or whatever bullshit that they do. And then like we'll jump in with the team. So obviously we have 4 keepers. So most of the time only 2 are in. So you're swapping like each game and stuff like that. You're either kind of on the side if it's like a real heavy day. So you're getting your rest, or the 2 that are on the side will do some stuff with Paul and we'll kind of just rotate. So you get some time to just like kind of watch, and you're just like some of the stuff that these guys do. You're just like, how does your brain like work like that to like do that?
Yeah.
Especially like, obviously like Evander and Kevin specifically, like big signings, everyone's like kind of watching them at, was he going to do something sick, and like Kevin's more of just like a poacher, and he just wants to score, which as a 9, that's all you need to do. That's why they pay you the big bucks.
Right.
But like, and some of the stuff Evander does, you're just like, what the hell, dude? Like, how? And he's just like, he's super chill, like super quiet, very nice. And he's just like, yeah.
Like, why wouldn't I?
Yeah. Wait, you don't want me to meg this guy twice? Got it. Okay. Sorry. Next time.
That was sort of the funny thing watching his highlights, in particular Evander, is he would score like a ridiculous banger in Portland and then just wouldn't celebrate. It's just like, yeah, all right, that's cool.
Yeah, which like it makes it like so much cooler.
Yeah, I'll do it again sometime. I can do better.
All right, let me know when you need another one. Oh my god!
My only question, that since we're firing him here, is: are you, or is there any thought of joining Roman in Team Mustache this year?
No.
That was a very quick no.
No, I don't think I have that in me. Also, like I think Romans is more of like out of necessity because the rest won't follow. Like me, I can shave today, and I shaved this morning, and I got a stubble already. Like, I'm Spanish. I grow hair. So no, I will not be mustaching.
Speaking of Roman, how's he handling the Drake thing? The Kendrick's kind of obvious universal victory in that feud.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand Roman because he likes some weird stuff. Like how he seems is how he is. Like he likes weird like music with I don't know these people that he listens to, and I like to think I'm pretty well rounded. But he listens to these like rappers that like they just mumble, like like some hood mumble rappers. And like Roman's like not that. So like I just see him in his car sometimes, and he's just like, just like, what are you doing, bud? And he's like, yo, this is sick. Listen to this part. And I'm just like, dude, grow up.
He's trying, okay? That's the mustache, all right?
Listen, he likes what he likes. Fair play.
What music does Paul Walters listen to?
Paul is an enigma.
Okay.
Paul is like the most Ohio kid I've ever met.
Awesome.
Like,
yeah, it means he's the coolest in the room, right?
Yeah, obviously.
Sure. Yeah. I actually don't know. He's not much of a talker. He just like grunts. Just like, what? Stop. Like, he's such a teenager. He wakes up with like bedhead all the time. It's like, figure it out.
Yeah, he's the perfect bait to send into the Scientology building just to see what happens.
He's also like 6'9", so like I'm like, we'll be able to see you through the roof, I guess.
Yeah, right. He's not hiding from anybody in there.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Well, Evan, we honestly could do this all night, but sadly, this team is so interesting. We have so much to talk about elsewhere, so we will let you get back to your evening. But thank you so much, man, for coming on. We wish you the best of luck in all of the competitions the team has this year. And yeah, we cannot wait to do this again, man.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys know anytime.
All right, we're back, and my goodness, he is a good hang. That is a ton of fun.
What I've learned is that we need to find a way to get some press credentials for Clearwater next year and go down for a couple of games. just hang out. I just want to see what's going on down there, but just for science.
We need to shut down the whole van thing until we can figure out what the hell's going on. Well, from the sounds of it, everybody came back in one piece, so I'll take it. However, even if the vans didn't. But yeah, hopefully Evan gets the start midweek. I think that would be a blast for that one. But no, we teased it before going to the interview. We got to touch on it now.
Build back Brenner.
That's it.
Yeah, Brenner lasted about as long as the permanent Democratic majority.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. The demographics mean, all right.
No.
Never mind.
Brenner was rumored to be, or I guess even confirmed per Louro Failure, to have been, or at least his representation had been in conversation with FC Cincinnati about a possible return. I'm a bad podcast host, so I do not have the exact quote up here. Yeah, could Brenner return to FC Cincinnati? Maybe the club is at least discussing the idea.
What's the thing? It's like Beckeridge's rule of headlines.
Yeah, you can answer if the headline has a question. The answer is always no.
Yeah,
right. So. There is that. Let's see. Early talk suggests Udinese would pay a portion of Brenner's salary. He would come on as a high TAM deal with a purchase obligation. That would be tough. I feel like that piece of it would be tough, right there. I will say though, now Queen source told Queen City Press, or no. Even after he left in mid-2023 under contentious circumstances, he told Queen City Press that summer he enjoyed his time with FCC and hoped to one day return to MLS. So, according to Brenner, he's open to the idea, but of course, the one and only Tommy Scoops, just a couple of hours later, tweeting out, sources, FC Cincinnati will not re-sign Udinese forward Brenner despite rumors. One source saying, quote, completely baseless, and a move will not happen. The club wishes Brenner well in Italy.
You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting about this quote right here, though, is that sources. FC Cincinnati will not re-sign Udinese forward Brenner despite rumors. One source, yada, yada, yada. The club wishes Brenner well in Italy. Well, that kind of narrows down who your source was, right?
Does it?
The club,
like somebody from the club, right?
Yeah, the club wishes Brenner well in Italy.
Yeah. Sorry, I thought the source within the club. Yes, of course, it was obviously somebody at the club. The Udinese side wasn't poo-pooing this at all.
I've got a little bit of a, to put my, well-worn media critic hat on here. Got a little bit of a problem with Boger's tweet, to be honest. So
it's a little weird.
He says they're not going to sign Brenner despite quote unquote rumors. Like, I think it would have been fair to say despite reporting.
Reporting, yeah.
Because there's reporting that there were discussions. Okay.
Yeah.
There wasn't reporting, or I don't think there was even rumors that they were going to sign him.
No.
There was reporting. That there were discussions. Okay.
Yeah. There were rumors that Brenner was being pursued by Columbus earlier this winter.
Yeah.
That's a rumor. I don't think anybody reported that of saying hard sources.
And then, so I think, so my critique of Bogert is using the word rumors there. Yeah. I think it would have shown a little bit of grace to say reporting.
Following up on Queen City Press's report,
right.
My sources indicate this is not happening.
Right. And then I don't put this part on Bogert, but the quote saying, calling it completely baseless.
Oof.
Like, I'm sorry. Depending on what you think is baseless. Like, right. I guess like if you think they're saying the idea that they are going to like sign Brenner this window or something is completely baseless, maybe. I tend to believe that there was some type of discussion, no matter how preliminary, that FC Cincinnati was involved in about what it would look like to bring Brenner back. So I don't think it's fair to call it, quote unquote, completely baseless. Now, do I think it would have made sense to bring him back as a DP? Which the third paragraph was, he was like, in any case, they're going the 2 DP model, at least for the first half of the year. Well, nobody reported that he was coming in as a DP first half of the year.
Yeah,
so that's not inconsistent.
Yep.
Do I think it would have made sense to bring him back as a DP? I mean, no, I don't think so. Because I think if they do go to a 3DP model, it's going to be a bigger swing.
Yeah. Per Jeff Birding, a top 20 consensus player.
Oh yeah, we'll get there.
Yes.
And then as far as like a purchase obligation, I would expect that whatever incentive would have, I mean, this is moot, but I expect that whatever incentive would have been in that contract to trigger an obligation would have been essentially unmeetable.
Right.
Because I just don't think that they would be interested in tying their hands to having, Brenner as their third DP next year.
No.
Nothing against Brenner. Would love to have him on like a TAM deal. I think he would make the team better. But
nah.
I don't think he gets in the 11, but I think he helps the team.
Sure. But like, why would he want to do that though?
I don't think he would.
Yeah, if he's not playing in Udinese, like I would rather not play in Europe than not play in Cincinnati.
Yeah.
From just a career point of view.
That's the thing is like right now, okay, let's put all of it aside. Like I think Brenner, the obvious spot on this roster Brenner would occupy is the Corey Baird, or maybe more accurately, the Sergio Santos role of the late game striker substitute. Maybe he pushes for a starting job or something along there.
Starts occasionally.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I don't think they would bring him in and like retool the entire team around him, say drop to a back four to accommodate an additional striker or something like that. I don't think
so.
No,
I don't think you do that. And just to like continue to analyze it, like Brenner during that portion of the 2022 season was incredible, unbelievable. For about half that season, he was on a goal scoring pace that would have, I think, set the all-time MLS goal scoring record. Like, he was incredible, but he was here for so long and only showed that for half a season that like you can't go out and potentially retool your roster or buy out another player who you've already decided is effective to bring him in, knowing that the vast majority of the time he was here, he was not a terribly effective player on the field. Nothing against him personally. I'm sure he's a great guy, but like if you're getting down to this moment, and put aside whatever weird, personal issues might be there, that like, I don't think you can do this from a soccer perspective for this much money. Now you talk supplemental roster, say you get the old Luca Orishano deal where he comes in on, league minimum. I mean, you kick the tires, don't get me wrong, but that's not what's on the table.
That's another thing is like they're down to like 1 or 2 senior roster spots for the rest of the year.
Right.
We know, or at least think, that they're planning to sign at least one more U22.
Yeah.
So if you sign one U22, that leaves you, let's say you have 2 senior roster spots left. If you sign one U22, then you have 1 left. So you can use that for another U22. You can use that for a third DP in the summer, or you can use it for Brenner. And I don't know. I think Brenner probably is my third choice.
Yeah.
Of those 3 options. I mean, it's not fair to him because because you have like a hypothetical DP, right? Or a hypothetical U22, so you can let your imagination run wild on those. But
well, obviously, I would put Mbappe over Brenner. That's easy, right?
I mean, I'm not interested in revisiting this. I'm not. This is just me, the fan. This is not me, the trying to be a dumb analyst for anything as to what his fit is or what he offers. Just as a fan, I'm sure he was a nice guy. I'm sure he's made some decisions that he probably regrets along the way a little bit, being young and eager to get his bag and move on with his career. And it's good, I guess. My takeaway from this story is I don't think he's coming. Obviously, even before Bogert put his tweet out, I didn't think that this was likely. I believe Laurel's reporting, and if that's the case, I come away with this happy that the Brenner saga didn't leave such an awful taste in everyone's mouth that like bridges were permanently burned and things are bad. I think this throws a ton of cold water on the theory or the rumor out there that there was some big blow up fight between him and Chris Albright. I think that's beyond put to bed by the idea that Brenner is even toying with coming back, or at least how it was been reported in the popular media. I don't think that's, that there was like this, there was this, I think that this is good for the narrative for the team and good for the story of the team that Brenner's okay coming back under certain circumstances. That's a good thing. I don't think you want too many players out there that are mad at your organization.
The way that I would put a pin in this one is, if he comes back to MLS, to another team that's not the Crew, that's not Red Bull, that's not San Diego, I'm not going to have anything.
No.
I'm not going to have anything against him, Yeah. And like, I'm not a big, like, I'm always going to like root for this guy wherever he goes type person. Like, sorry, like I'm just kind of like focused on my own team.
Yeah. Right.
And so for the most part, I just want the players on my team to do well. But like, I would be perfectly happy for him to go to somewhere like Portland and, have a night, have some nice years there.
It'd be really fun, actually, if you went to Portland pretty soon, because it would be Kevin Kelsey and him up top, and then eventually we all go visit with Evander. Like,
yeah, that's true.
That'd be a really fun time. Well, in addition to this story, we got to mention Jeff Birding goes on the radio with Q102. Was it Molly Watson as the host? She does actually like a lot of soccer interviews. I don't know. For some reason. It's
some sports show that I'm not familiar with, but yeah.
Yeah. And drops the line that FC Cincinnati is looking to sign a, quote, consensus top 20 soccer player this summer. We've heard before that this team wants to be ambitious. I don't know if Weston McKennie gets to count as a top 20 consensus player in the world. I don't know which, say, retirees are looking to end their careers in MLS. The mind goes to Kane and Salah and maybe Luka Modric or something like that. Like
Lewandowski still playing?
He is for Barcelona. Maybe they could use a cash infusion from a quick MLS sale. Yeah, I don't know. I would just say, for me, I'm not reading too much into this, and until somebody attaches a name to this, I'm interested. But I'm not getting my hopes up.
Intrigued, but like, there's not enough to go on here as to who that is.
What I'm mostly intrigued by is I want to hear Jeff Birding's top 20. Tell me the top 20 players in the world, Jeff.
The top 20 is actually just the FC Cincinnati roster. Right. He's a homer.
How far away is Josh Sargent from your top 20?
I want to know, do you think that like Brenner, this conversation with Brenner started around the same time, and all of a sudden his good feelings are like, oh, they think I'm a top 20 player. This is incredible. Wow. They all that time, they really were highly rating me, and that's why they wouldn't do a transfer. They think I'm incredible.
I will say about the Josh Sargent thing, man, 30 million might have been a steal. Let's see what he goes for this summer, because he is tearing up the championship right now.
Latte Loth went for 26
and was half the striker Sargent is. So yeah, Josh Sargent for 50 million to Liverpool, just you wait. So yeah, there you go. Jeff Birding is out there hunting big game for FC Cincinnati, I guess. So I'll take it.
Orishana is signed through 2029. It'll be restructured for purposes. I think look out for an extension. To be, I expect we'll hear an extension for him in the not too distant future. But I don't know. Do we need to say anything about this stuff, or should we do Patreon questions?
I think that's good. The only other thing that I regret mentioning or not mentioning before is
I regret a lot of stuff that we say on this show, so it's okay.
All the time, man.
Well, no, this is regretting not saying John Harkes pulls the sword.
Yes. Yeah. That was
what
cool.
a moment.
That was cool.
What a moment. Nice to see that, whatever awkwardness might have been there has been smoothed over. If people are not familiar with the story, John Harkes, well, first off, if you're not familiar with John Harkes, get to learning, okay? A legend in American soccer history, was one of the first guys, if not literally the first American to go play in the Premier League, had a very good career over in England. He was actually one of the...
I believe he was the first American to play in the Premier League, because it wasn't created until like 92.
Yeah, definitely not the first American in the English top
division.
Flight. Yeah. But he was amongst those in American soccer who came back to help start MLS and was a legend with DC United. So he goes way back. He was hired as FC Cincinnati's first head coach in 2016. He provided quite a bit of legitimacy to this soccer project that a lot of upstart lower division teams still don't have to attach a name like that. He had a very successful first year. It was great. They made the playoffs. They got dumped out early, which was disappointing, but it was a really good season. Sean Okoli won league MVP and Golden Boot. Awesome. He was eventually fired the day before the team left for preseason to start year 2 of this club. Alan Koch was hired as his assistant for him in the winter, and then Koch was appointed to be the manager that same move. So kind of a sad, weird ending for FCC there. So it was good to see Harkes come back, pull the sword. Really, really good to see him. Those 2016 teams were a ton of fun. Maybe not the most tactical team. I'd say John Harkes certainly falls in the Pat Noonan school of coaching philosophy versus a Wilfred Nancy. So good to see him out there.
Yeah, it was a neat moment, and kind of closes the chapter a little bit that never really had a proper resolution. So it was nice. It was nice to see that happen. The other thing too that's kind of cool is it's nothing about FC Cincinnati probably ends up the way it does without at least some of what John Harkes provided for this team, the instant credibility. We've talked about it before. I imagine it, disappointing for him, but like once you set that aside, probably pretty cool to walk around and see what the team has become since you were last there and your office was underneath the Bailey at Nippert Stadium in like basically a supply closet.
Yeah.
And you were running out and chasing undergrads off of the turf because you didn't understand that Nippert was like a public field.
Yeah, right. Oh man, he also had quite a bit of success with the Greenville Triumph in USL League One as a manager. So kind of a funny one that he's actually been a very successful coach everywhere he's gone. And I don't know how desperate he is for a job, but it was always somebody I thought might get more jobs than he has. So there you go. But we'll wrap it up here with a couple of Patreon questions to get us out of here. The Patreon, by the way, you can support us financially and spiritually by supporting the Patreon, becoming a patron. As a part of that deal, you give us $2 a month. In exchange, we give you bright pink flare in the Discord, which is free and available to anybody, by the way. But if you pay, you get a mark of shame in the Discord. And you also get to ask us a question that we answer once a month. Eventually, we usually get to them here. So we've got a very topical question from David Ziegler, who asks, what is your collective top 5 FCC TIFOs that have been had? I've got a bunch that jump to my mind. I don't know if anybody wants to jump in there.
I'm gonna say this is not my question. I roll into the stadium right at kickoff. I'm not sure I've ever seen a TIFO.
Nice.
So I'll let you guys have at it.
Perfect.
My favorite one will always be the first Hell is Real TIFO we did after joining MLS. With so the good retro cartoon, like Cuphead style art, where it's Crew Cat on fire. There's a pile of bones that make up the font for Hell is Real. It was absolutely beautiful. And I found recently, when I was transferring files off an old laptop, the original Illustrator file for that that cool TIFO. So I'm going to exercise a little bit of privilege, and I'm going to get that printed up. I'm going to hang that I'm going to hang that somewhere because I love that one so much.
Yeah, the slogan on that one was "Being saved offers no salvation," which was so good for
what was
Hell is Real.
What was the exact question?
It was our collective top 5 FCC TIFOs.
Okay.
So, Chief, I would definitely put that number 1.
Yeah, far and away number 1.
Not that I'm dying to put all of these in order, but that one felt like an obvious number 1. Number 2 for me, if I had to put them in order, the Charlie Harper Kings of what was it?
Kings of the Queen City.
Kings of the Queen City, the winged lion. That was really good. I have a soft spot for the King GB sends his regards with the colored skulls of all the teams that we had beat in the Open Cup.
That was good. I liked Samurai Jack with Gary as Samurai Jack looking out into the void in the portal. That was cool as hell. I really liked that one. And I thought the one last year, the You'll Never Leave Sin City. I don't really understand what that means, but it looked cool as hell. So whatever. Looked metal. I was like, all right, that's cool.
As an honorable mention, I know it's not an FCC TIFO, but it is one that I really enjoyed. Was the one that we did for the US versus Mexico game.
Oh yeah,
with the Uncle Sam knocking down the luchador.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
That was a fun one.
Oh my God, Chief, the number 1 TIFO.
Oh yeah,
the number 1 TIFO was the sarcastic TIFO against Louisville in the Open Cup, done by one and only person, Jonah of Knife Eat Lion Radio and the
just
Post.
said TIFO on it.
It was mostly fabric. There was a small section of it that was done in plastic because he ran out of cloth and he just had the word TIFO on it because that's all Louisville was worth once we made it to MLS.
Yeah, we don't think about you anymore.
Man,
yeah,
that was
I like that
so
one.
funny.
It was well done.
Okay. This is good in the spirit of the CONCACAF Champions League. Outside of the Canadian MLS and Liga MX teams, where is the Postcast's quote dream CCL away days destination?
Calvary first round. So you go up, you play a game in Calgary, Canada. Right.
Oh, it does say outside of Canadian, but
not Canadian MLS team.
It's Canadian, MLS,
Okay, well you didn't read it right.
Yeah, you got to read that better then.
But please explain to me. I want to hear the Calgary.
First round's in February.
That's true.
What is by Calgary? Bam.
Ski season, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go ski Big 3.
I was going to say you hope the Flames are in town, maybe.
But I guess if it's not that, I would like is it Alan Cruz plays for Herediano?
Yeah, Herediano. Yes, that'd be a fun one.
Yeah, I would like one of the big Costa Rican teams. Herediano, Alajuelense, Saprissa. Yep. Give me one of those.
One of those big 3 would be a ton of fun. I'd either want, I want one of those, like a really big environment in Central America, or the smallest Caribbean island nation that sneaks into the tournament. I don't want Jamaica. I don't even want Dominican Republic or Haiti.
Like Turks and Caicos or something like that. Yeah, okay,
I want like the Bahamas team that sneaks in somehow, because that would be like you and 30 of your best friends watching that game.
Yeah, you would want it to be some place where they had like a resort nearby that you could stay at, like on property of some sort. Yeah, I'm into that. I'll do that.
Yeah, every once in a while, one of those teams sneaks in, and that would be a ton of fun.
The answer is Greenland as soon as they get accepted by CONCACAF.
Which apparently those conversations are happening this week. So
first CONCACAF, then the 51st state. This is how it starts.
Puerto Rico has its own FA, so it's not unprecedented. This is another one from I don't know if I said the names here, which is very insulting. Adam Clay Reeves gave us the first question there, or that last question. This one comes from James St. John, who says, in honor of the NHL Four Nations tournament, if MLS did a Four Nations tournament instead of an all-star game, which nation would win? Thankfully, somebody looked this up. You would obviously have USA and Canada. I think the next two represented countries in MLS were Argentina and Germany.
Really?
Argentina would win, right?
I think Argentina
They have
would
all
win.
the DPs.
like literally all the DPs and then half of Inter Miami.
Yeah, that team would have Messi and Lucho on it, and Luca, and
Is there an Argentine goalkeeper?
so an Argentine defender.
At least there definitely have been a bunch of Argentine defenders.
It's like all gas, no brakes with Argentina.
Is Tomas Avalos Argentinian?
I think so.
But you had like Leandro Gonzalez Perez. Wasn't Franco Ibarra Argentinian?
You'll be happy to know that Inter Miami has a 38-year-old backup goalkeeper who is Argentinian. So they got at least somebody to play in goal.
That guy's not real. That's just Messi making a job for somebody.
Oh, excuse me. They have two backup Argentinian goalkeepers, including a 22-year-old Rocco Novo.
There's no chance the 38-year-old has ever played soccer.
He plays for Miami now?
Yeah.
I believe he's a U.S. Argentina dual net.
Ah, okay. I'm strictly going off of what FOTMob is declaring these people's nationalities.
No, I think he's appeared for Argentine youth national teams, and not for U.S. youth national teams. Because I think he used to be at Atlanta.
Yeah. I think you could, and I know the NHL tried this, and I know everybody hated it, but I think you could do a CONCACAF, UEFA, CONMEBOL, and CAF 4 teams. I don't know. You could probably get close to building an Asian team, but I think it'd be tough. But I think you could do it with the other 4 pretty easily there.
So who cares if you have center backs from Argentina and MLS? No one's touching the ball.
But how much fun would it be to have like Fagundes?
Yeah, do you have like 10 10s?
Yeah, they're playing center backs. Like all of a sudden, Lucho's a wing back in this setup.
It's all fun and games. So Matt Miazga absolutely decleats 2 or 3 of these people.
That would be a lot of fun. Okay. I'm not going to answer that question yet. Let's go down here. Okay. Last question here. John Jolly asks, MLS expansion, ... How far do they go? How many is too many? And what does the league look like from a conference and schedule standpoint when they are done?
40, 2 divisions of 20, full round robin between the two in your 2 divisions. So it's a 38 game schedule. Then MLS Cup playoffs pits the 2 sides against one another. Done.
I think MLS goes to, I think they can go more. But I think what you end up with is MLS Division 1 and then an MLS Division 2 that sits between Division 1 and MLS Next Pro. So then MLS then has 3 divisions, and maybe they do pro rel between the top 2.
I think that'd be interesting.
I think that is. I think that's the only way that we get. I think it's possible that USL ends up with some type of pro rel. I don't think USL Division 1 is going to get to the level of MLS though. Yeah. So I think that the only way that you have, and this isn't true pro rel, I know, but I think the only way you get pro rel in some form in the US at a level that matters is like MLS Division 1 and MLS Division 2.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think you get the money. Like, I don't think you get owners putting the money in to like a truly open system or whatever USL thinks they're going to set up.
Yeah.
We'll see.
And I think if you were building it from the ground up, you might be able to attract investors. I think the problem you're going to have now is convincing the investors that are dropping 3, 4, 500 million for expansion fees to now say, hey, now your team can drop down, unless you're going to find a way to compensate them, which maybe you can, but probably not doing this. I would say the easiest thing they could do is go to at least 38, probably 40 teams, and just do one game against everybody in the league. And then just alternate home and away every other year. So you would have a 38, 39 game schedule, 37 game schedule, similar enough to the rest of the world. And all of a sudden the supporters shield matters more because you have a quasi balanced schedule in the fact that you've at least played everybody once. So
yeah, it'll be interesting to see a little bit like USL going Division 1. What does that mean? You know?
Yeah.
And there, depending on how that turns out, there will be something that changes about MLS. It could be that they poach the really successful markets from USL as soon as they show proof of concept at a higher spending level. Once you get big enough to a certain point, once you get to like 40 teams, like the allure of Pro Rel is kind of like, what's the point? Like every major city that could support a team at a high level has one. And this bullshit that's peddled online by these people that, oh, well, there should be 5 teams in Cincinnati competing. No, that's not going to happen. The only reason that exists elsewhere is because it's all a legacy of when you and your mates down at the factory would start a team. And that's the team that you guys have. And there's Sunday league teams. And that's not part of our culture in this country. So
and then we also see that even in those leagues, there's a level of equilibrium that has just like happened. Like, yeah, there's like 50 bajillion teams in London. There's a handful that are just going to be in the Premier League for the rest of our lives.
Right.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of others that are going to float in and out, occasionally every so many years or whatever. And then there's others that are just never going to be there ever.
Oh,
for as long as we or anybody alive right now lives.
You're going to see in a couple of years a bubble burst of these American investment groups buying lower division English league teams that are like trying to copy and emulate the Welcome to Wrexham bit. And they all can't get promoted to the Premier League or the Championship. Like they all just physically can't do it, at least not on a time scale that'll make sense for these investors. And then they will get rid of the team, and they will have made the teams in such a way that whoever buys the team next will not be able to finance those wages or take on the debt of whatever stadium expansion they've endeavored. And you're going to see, I think, a rash of clubs go bankrupt in a couple of years.
You're already seeing around the world them going like away from truly open systems.
Oh yeah.
Like they try to do the Super League. Liga MX has basically gotten rid of Pro Rel. With a lot of the spending restrictions that exist in these things, it like is really hard to buy a lower division team and then just be like, okay, we're going to spend like Everton.
Yeah. Yeah. And Everton's a team that I think is still waiting for the next punishment to come down and knock points off of them and potentially relegate them as they're trying to open their new mega stadium for next year. So like, yeah, if they aren't able to keep the Premier League money rolling in, that stadium kills that club. Like it's tough. So yeah, there you go. Some good questions. Keep asking questions. We are back officially to 2 days a week until the wheels fall off of this team and the season ends. So plenty of episodes through February to ask and then answer your questions. But some good ones out there. Appreciate it.
What an episode.
Welcome back to the season, boys.
Yeah. Victory Monday. Never felt so good.
Oh, I love it. We're back at it on Wednesday. Thankfully, it won't be so cold.
We hope.
Probably.
Yeah. Just blame Columbus for all the bad weather we're getting right now. The cold winds from the north, as always. Fuck Columbus.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Cincy Postcast. It is a production of The Post Cincy. You can check us out at thepostcincy.com or just click a link in the description to check out some of our written work. It also has links to our social media accounts across all sorts of different platforms, including YouTube, where we are trying to do more and more video content. Please, dare I say it, like and subscribe and leave a comment. But no, that would be really, really helpful. Also want to give a thank you to Jim, Trace, and the Makers. They're a local Cincinnati band who provided all of the music for this episode. We love having them on board. You can check them out. Again, link in the description of this episode to find out where they might be playing shows next or where you can listen to more of their music. Also want to give a massive, massive thank you to the awesome and very attractive patrons over on Patreon. It is a voluntary subscription that people take out with no real promise of anything extra that keep this show afloat. And we are so, so thankful to those of you that have decided to take that commitment. If you do like the show, or at least just want to engage with other people who have listened to the show and want to talk about FC Cincinnati, MLS, soccer, or really anything else, you can go on over to Discord. Again, link in the description. Lots of links in the description where you can find a link to the Discord. That's where we are keeping the conversation going 24/7. It feels like it's a really fun group of people in there just talking about FC Cincinnati. And like I said, just about everything else. And finally, I'll say it. If you liked this episode, and given the fact that you've made it all the way to the end, I have to assume you either like it or for some reason cannot reach the stop button. Please share this episode with a friend or family member or someone who likes FC Cincinnati. The best way for us to grow is from a personal recommendation from somebody who likes it. And if that's you, please tell other people. And if you don't have any friends, feel free to give us a review on whatever your podcast platform of choice is. We'll take anything we can get. But again, a huge, huge thank you to everybody for listening to this show. I am blown away that anybody listens to this. So again, I well and truly mean this. Thank you so much for listening.